You open the fridge. You already know what is inside. You close it, and 30 seconds later, you open it again. Nothing has changed. Nothing will change. But some restless engine inside you keeps sending you back to look, as if the answer to a question you cannot name might be waiting behind the milk. You are not hungry. You are bored. You think of boredom as nothing. An empty space. A dead zone between the things that actually matter. But the real answer is far stranger. Boredom is not the absence of something. It is a signal. A loud, ancient, insistent alarm that your brain is firing on purpose. And once you understand what it is trying to tell you, you will never sit inside it the same way again. So why do you get bored? Start with what boredom actually feels like from the inside. Time thickens. It drags. You want to do something, anything, but nothing on offer seems worth doing. You are restless and listless at the same time, which should be a contradiction, and yet there you are. That strange double feeling is the whole mystery. Why would your mind make you crave action while draining every option of its appeal? To answer that, you have to stop treating boredom as a personal failing. It is not laziness. It is not a lack of imagination. It is a state as universal and as built-in as hunger or thirst. Every human culture has it. Children feel it before they can even name it. And that universality is your first clue. Things that are truly useless tend to get erased by evolution. Boredom did not get erased. It stayed. Which means, at some point, it helped your ancestors survive. The psychologist John Eastwood spent years trying to define exactly what this state is, and he landed on something precise. Boredom, he argues, is the uncomfortable feeling of wanting to be engaged and being unable to. He calls the bored mind the unengaged mind. It is not that there is nothing to do. It is that your attention cannot find purchase on anything. You have a powerful searchlight, and it is sweeping the room, and it keeps landing on nothing worth illuminating. The discomfort you feel is the searchlight straining against empty walls. Now ask the deeper question. Why would that discomfort exist at all? Picture one of your distant ancestors sitting at the mouth of a cave. The hunting is done. The berries are gathered. There is no immediate danger and no immediate need. A satisfied animal would simply rest. And resting, in the short term, feels efficient. But imagine a creature that could rest like that forever, perfectly content to sit and stare at the same patch of ground for days. That creature would never explore the next valley. It would never discover the better fishing spot, the new tool, the safer shelter over the hill. It would sit in its comfortable little world until that world dried up or turned dangerous, and then it would die there, content to the end. Boredom is the thing that would not let your ancestors sit still and rot. This is the heart of what researchers now believe. Boredom is a push. When your current situation stops offering anything useful, that restless, dragging discomfort rises up to make staying feel intolerable, so that you get up and go looking. It is not punishing you for being idle. It is prying you out of a dead end. The unpleasantness is the point. If sitting in a stale situation felt wonderful, you would never leave it. The researchers Wienand van Tilburg and Eric Igu took this idea and pushed it somewhere surprising. They ran a series of studies on what bored people actually do, and what they found was not just that boredom makes you seek stimulation. It makes you seek meaning. When people were made to feel bored in their experiments, they became more likely to reach for things they found deeply significant. They thought more about their loved ones. They rated meaningful causes as more important. Boredom, in their view, is not a hunger for mere distraction. It is a nudge that whispers, "This is not worth your one and only life, go find something that is." Does that reframe the feeling for you? The next time boredom rises up in a meeting, or a task, or a whole season of your life, it may be doing exactly the job it evolved to do. It is telling you that you are pouring yourself into something that does not matter to you, and it wants you to notice. But here is where the ancient machinery meets the modern world, and here is where it all goes wrong. Your brain runs on a system built to reward seeking. The neuroscientist Kent Berridge spent decades untangling two things most people assume are the same. wanting and liking. He discovered they run on separate circuits in the brain. Liking is the pleasure you feel when you actually enjoy something. Wanting is the craving, the pull, the urge to chase. And crucially, wanting is powered largely by dopamine, while liking is not. Your brain has one system that makes you desire, and a different, quieter system that makes you satisfied. Think about what that means. It is entirely possible to want something intensely and barely enjoy it once you have it. The seeking circuit and the satisfaction circuit are not the same, and the seeking circuit is far louder. For your ancestors, this was a gift. The relentless wanting drove them to search, to explore, to keep moving toward the next reward. And when there were only so many things to seek, the system stayed in balance. You searched, you found, you were satisfied, you rested, and eventually boredom pushed you out to search again. Now put that same brain in front of a glowing screen with an infinite feed. Boredom rises, right on schedule, doing its ancient job. It says, "This is stale, go seek." But you no longer have to walk to the next valley. You reach into your pocket, and the seeking is instant, and it never, ever ends. Every swipe offers the promise of something new, and your wanting circuit lights up, and you chase, and the satisfaction never quite arrives, because the feed is engineered to keep you wanting rather than to leave you satisfied. You have handed your boredom, that precise evolutionary tool for finding what matters, to a machine that profits from making sure you never find it. This is why you can spend an hour scrolling and stand up feeling emptier than when you sat down. Your ancestors' boredom ended in discovery. Yours ends in another hour gone. The alarm still rings. You have simply learned to silence it with something that feeds the wanting and starves the liking. The psychologist James Dankert, who has studied boredom for much of his career, describes it as a call to action that we have grown terrible at answering. The signal is healthy. The response is broken. Boredom asks a real question. What would actually be worth your attention right now? And instead of sitting with that question long enough to hear an honest answer, you smother it in seconds with the nearest source of novelty. So what happens when you stop smothering it? Something strange and old. When you let yourself be bored, truly bored, without reaching for a screen, your mind does not stay empty for long. It starts to wander. It generates. This is why so many people have their best ideas in the shower, or on a long drive, or while staring out a train window. Researchers have found that mild boredom can boost creativity, precisely because a mind with nothing to grip onto turns inward and begins to build. The restlessness that feels so unpleasant is also the engine of daydreaming, of planning, of imagining a life different from the one in front of you. Boredom is the blank page your mind was designed to fill. Your ancestors did not have infinite feeds to escape into. When boredom rose at the mouth of the cave, they had to answer it for real. They made tools. They told stories. They painted on walls. They wondered about the stars and the seasons and the animals and each other. A great deal of what makes you human, the art, the invention, the restless reaching for something more, may have been born in exactly those unbearable empty hours that boredom refused to let them waste. So the feeling you have been treating as a void is not a void at all. It is one of the oldest and most useful signals you own. It is the reason your species never settled for the first safe cave. It is your mind refusing to let you disappear into a life that does not matter to you. And every time you drown it in a screen, you are not escaping boredom. You are ignoring a message from 300,000 years of ancestors who survived because they got up and went to see what was over the hill. You open the fridge. You already know what is inside. But now you understand what that restless little engine is really doing. It is not hunger, and it is not emptiness, and it is not a flaw in you. It is the same ancient alarm that pried your ancestors out of every comfortable dead end they ever sat in, still ringing, still faithful, still asking you the only question it has ever asked. Is this really worth your one and only life? And what would you find if, just once, instead of reaching for the milk, you finally got up and answered it?
If you like this video, please consider to like it and subscribe to our channel, and it will help us to create more content like this. Thank you.